you? This is me, Miss Alia, and this is ABS English Academy. Today, we will talk about the passive voice, but the passive voice in perfect tenses. So come on, let's check it out. We have been talking about the passive voice. Now you're an expert in simple tenses. And today we will see how to use the passive voice in perfect tenses. So let's see. The first topic today is present perfect passive. Yes, you remember the present perfect, right? We use the present perfect to talk about, experiences we have had, or maybe actions that are now completed, or, to connect the past and the present. It's the same in the passive voice, but this time we are more interested in the object, and this now becomes the subject in a sentence. So the first things you need, yes, is the subject. And keep in mind, a subject could be anyone. I mean, you can use pronouns or a noun. For example, my bank, my money, my family, I, you, we, they, etc. And after the subject, you need, in this case, the auxiliary have or has, and haven't or hasn't. And don't forget to use the verb be. How? Well, we're going to say have been or has been. And in the negative option, haven't been or hasn't been. Keep in mind, always use the correct conjugation. I mean, if you say I have been, you have been, she, perfect, she has been. My bank has been or hasn't been. That's it. And after that, you need an action. Remember, this action is always in past participle. So you need to remember the past participle of the verb. For example, the bank has been authorized. I have been checked, and etc. And at the end, of course, you can use a complement. Keep in mind the complement is always, good to use something related to the tense. And in this case, you're using present perfect. So let's see an example here. We can say, Ben has been authorized to send my money. The bank has been authorized to send my money. And this is it. Well, now let's see the next topic. Welcome again. Now we are in the next perfect tense. And yes, this is past perfect. Yes, past perfect, but in passive voice. You remember, we use the past perfect to go further in the past, and we look at maybe in an action that happened before another in the past. It's the same in passive voice, but in this case, the object becomes a star. So to structure a sentence, first you need a subject, yes. And after the subject, you're going to use the verb, or in this case, the auxiliary, have. And in a negative form, hadn't. And don't forget to use been. Exactly, I had been. You had been, it had been, she had been, my family hadn't been, my husband had been, my cat hadn't been, etc. And then, you're going to use a verb in past participle. For example, it had been sold, it had been cancelled, my favorite program hadn't been, and then you use a verb in past participle. By the end, you can add a complement. Keep in mind, it's okay to use a complement about the past because you're talking about past perfect. So, what is a good complement in this case? You can use maybe a sentence in past tense. Let's see an example. I wanted to buy the painted. This is like a complement in past simple tense. I wanted to buy the painted, but it had already been sold. It had already been sold. Okay, so now you know it. Again, this is past perfect, but in this case, passive voice. Is a PC, subject, then had or hadn't been, a verb in past participle, and finally a complement. Don't forget to use in a complement maybe a sentence in past simple tense. Okay, let's see the next topic. And it's time to talk about the future, but not any future. In this case, we're talking about future perfect in passive voice. Again, when we use the future perfect, we are indicated that maybe an activity will be completed by a time in the future. And in this passive voice, we indicate that now the object is the start, or we are more interested in this part. So again, you need the subject. And the subject is the object in your active voice sentence. Don't forget it. After the subject, you're going to use something about the future, right? We're talking about future. Yes, will or the negative option won't. Don't forget to use will have or won't have. Don't forget that, have. And in spoken English, we don't say I will have. We tend to contract that and we say I will have, you will have, she will have. Yes, or the negative option won't have. And after that, well, we need the verb be. This is passive. So we're going to use the word been. So for example, I will have been, it will have been, they won't have been. And after that, you need the main action. And the main action, of course, is a verb, but in past participle, correct? You got it. For example, I want to be built, or it want to be built. And at the end, you can use a complement. The complement is always something related to the future. Remember, you're talking about a future, right? But in passive voice. Let's see an example here. It won't have been built by next month. So sorry, it won't have been built by next month. Excuse me, sorry, I don't know, I apologize. So well, again, this is future perfect and passive voice. Now you know. Oh my God, we have learned a lot about this passive voice. Now you're an expert about this passive voice in simple tenses and in perfect tenses. Oh my God. Increíble, ¿cierto? Sí, también sé hablar español. ¿Sorprendido? Ok, yo también estoy feliz. Y el día de hoy hemos hablado mucho acerca de las voces perfectas, en este caso de los tiempos perfectos, en voz pasiva. Hasta ahora ya has aprendido un poco acerca de cómo hablar en tiempos simples en voz pasiva y en tiempos perfectos en voz pasiva. Solamente para quedar algo en mente, la voz pasiva ocurre cuando el predicado, diríamos en español, es más importante que el sujeto. O sea, el objeto se vuelve la estrella de tu nueva oración. Recuerda que en estos casos, el objeto vuelto un sujeto va a ir siempre al principio de tu oración. Después de eso vas a necesitar auxiliares. Dependiendo de qué tiempo verbal estés usando, pues vas a tener que usar estos auxiliares. Por ejemplo, si se trata de una oración en presente perfecto, voz pasiva, vas a tener que utilizar los auxiliares de presente perfecto. Serían have o has, haven't o hasn't. Y no te olvides también de utilizar el been. Luego, un verbo yes en pasado participio. Y como siempre, un complemento que haga juego con tu oración en presente perfecto, voz pasiva. Ocurre lo mismo con el pasado perfecto y el futuro perfecto. Vamos a estar utilizando siempre auxiliares que tengan que ver con ellos, más la partícula been, por allí de alguna manera, y un verbo principal en participio pasado. No te olvides, el participio pasado es ese verbo que estaba en la tercera columna de los irregulares, pues ese regular que termina en ed. Ahora bien, ¿cuándo vamos a utilizar esta voz pasiva? La verdad es que en algunos casos. Por ejemplo, en las noticias es muy común que se hable en voz pasiva. ¿Por qué? Porque muchas veces ellos no saben quién es el sujeto. Fulanito fue baleado. Okay, ¿quién lo baleó? No tenemos idea, pero fue baleado. Entonces ahora el pobre, ¿sí?, quien ya murió, se vuelve la estrella en este reportaje y empezamos a utilizar la voz pasiva. Así que bueno, cuéntame, ¿te parece interesante?